Buff Nation, what is going on? We're live on YouTube, of course. We're live on Twitter. Y'all be sure to hit that like. Let me know who's watching. Big shout out to Jen J and D Regolo. Good to see you guys. And it's also wonderful to see Steve from the Go Route. It's been a little bit. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a busy couple of weeks, but I'm back in the saddle, ready to get going again.
Well, it's always great to connect with you. Thanks again for reaching out with how scattered my brain is. That's always very helpful and making sure that I stay on top of my game too. So, but man, it's been a little bit since we've been able to connect. Obviously, the season didn't end the way that either of us anticipated, but before we dive into the big news with Tank and some of the other recruiting updates, what were your thoughts on how the season ended? I'll just keep it general like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know what? I equated to Colorado came out of the gates, just going 100 miles an hour, guns blazing, wanting to go ahead and make it a track meet. And then as the season went along, all that momentum and all that drive they had kind of just went away. And then at that point on, you're in the meat of your schedule playing, Utah, playing, I forgot who else they played last couple weeks, Oregon State. I mean, they were in a lot of these games. Arizona. I mean, they're in these games. I mean, there's only two games you can honestly say they were blown out of: Oregon, Washington State. Just two games. They just didn't really feel like this is a players are ready to play. And Washington State, the team had an illness, so I kind of give them a mulligan for that because Coach Prime's sick and guys are sick. Starters aren't playing, so it is what it is. Honestly, kind of felt deep down I wish they would have rescheduled that game and gave us a chance to play that game with a more healthy lineup, but that's neither here nor there. That's not all how schedules work. Overall, I mean, I predicted they would be 6-6, maybe around that range, so 4-8. I think they could have won a few of those tight games. But overall, I mean, Coach Prime said it best. They are improved from last year. Their head-to-head matchups with their Pac-12 conference opponents are better. That margin was tighter. So, we saw a great beginning, but the ending kind of, ran out of gas. But, the way things are shaping up now works. I think CU and Coach Prime are ready for a good transfer portal, a good offseason, and good recruiting. And it's just going to be a crazy December. I'm probably going to be burning the midnight oil trying to get content out there. Just December is going to be crazy. So,
yeah, December is going to be that month for us where there's going to be plenty to talk about. It might be our busiest season in terms of how often we need to get out there to update the people,
yeah, definitely.
And I think it's funny. I mean, I guess we can get to the news. Y'all are savage in the chat. Y'all are absolutely savage. Gerad Christian-Lichtenhan's kind of kicking off this. He's kicking off the transfer portal season. Another one bites the dust. He's out of here. He's moving on. I think one of our friends, Stanford, said, man, if this is true, this is savage by 24/7, only a 2-star in the portal. But, at the end of the day, I'm always going to be thankful for, when Buffs spend their time with the Buffs. Tank was one of those guys that could have transferred out immediately, being one of those Mel Tucker guys coming in 2020. He chose to stick with the Buffs through thick and thin. I'm sorry that it did not work out as expected, but, I'm hoping that this is one in which, mutually it works out for both parties. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, Tank is a guy you want to cheer for because his name and he's been here for quite a bit of time on the CU roster. You want it to pan out. He's one of the holdovers. He worked his butt off. It just something didn't work. Either it was the offensive line coach, it was a scheme, it was just something wasn't meshing. Those last couple of games, though, I will give the offensive line the kudos to that one. The last couple of games, they were doing pretty good protecting. I guess a little bit of Shador because Shador did get injured, but then you had his backup come in, Staub, who played pretty well. So it's all kind of, it gets lost. And, I hope for the best for all these guys who unfortunately will leave this program here soon. Wish them all the best. And we'll see what Coach Prime and the recruiting team bring into, for the next season. It's going to be great to have Tyler Brown back after that 1 year hiatus. So I'm highly optimistic, and we can probably get to all the recruiting stuff going on with Jordan Seaton and also with was it McCoy? I forgot the gentleman's last name.
Jac'Quan McCoy. Yes, an Oregon commit, right?
Yeah. So, there's a lot of good stuff coming in on the horizon. So we're losing a good, solid buff who's been here for a while, but now we're hopefully going to get some new guys coming in. They're going to make an immediate impact, hopefully. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, Steve. This chat is absolute savage. I mean, this is more savage than the Sean Lewis announcement that we had earlier this week. But I mean,
really?
at the end of the day, if I can talk, we got our quarterbacks back broke, so I think there's probably a lot more to celebrate. But you guys.
Oh, come on. I'm seeing the comments. Yeah, these are.
Man, this is hilarious. People are just trying to get to the weekend. And, but I'm hoping that this is good news. I was hoping that Tank would have stuck as a backup, and I think, again, when the line is this bad, this is just me. Like Coach Hayes and I disagree on this opposite. So, if you're going to pick somebody to, go with their opinion, probably don't go with mine, go with the actual coaches. But Coach Hayes, he's like, this is 70% on the talent, 30% on the coaching. I kind of view it 70% coaching, 30% on the talent for why we couldn't at least be like 80th in the league or in major college football. What were your thoughts on like the offensive performance? Was it more coaching? Was it more talent?
It's hard to say. I think it's a combination of once they lost that momentum and they weren't able to go as fast as they did in the first couple of games, and you become one-dimensional. They didn't have a plan, or I don't know who was leading there. That was Coach Sean Lewis, or it was the combination of the tight ends or offensive line. There wasn't a great plan to how do we pivot to a running game to go ahead and take some pressure off our quarterback, and the running game wasn't working. So you became more one-dimensional, and people knew you weren't going to run. You had to pass. So it became a mess. And I think towards the end of the season, you saw with Pat Shurmur taking over, trying to do more of a, hey, let's be more balanced. Let's try to do, and it seemed to work for a little bit. I think Pat Shurmur is also should be considered for, next year's offensive coordinator position. See what he could do as well with Shedeur. And I know from what I have been hearing, reading reports online, him and Shedeur got along really well. I think Sean Lewis and Shedeur got along really well. I think it's just a matter of, philosophy, and then what the players were executing, and then what was actually happening behind the scenes. And some of us we're not going to ever know. But honestly, I mean, Sean Lewis was someone who I wish could have stayed here longer. I thought his offense would have worked. But I wish him the best, man. He's went to San Diego State. I think I'm doing another podcast in San Diego State with some guys out there next week.
That's fun.
Yeah. So it'd be fun just to kind of just give them some feedback on what my impression of Sean Lewis was here in Boulder. I think Sean Lewis has a great ceiling ahead of him. And he did a great job giving Coach Prime kudos and his time in Boulder kudos. It didn't work out the way he wanted to, but hey, the benefit for Colorado now is that either Pat Shurmur or Byron Leftwich or, is it Cliff Kingsbury is an option. So anyone who can help protect our quarterback, run the ball, and just be balanced, and then go ahead and don't defer from that, commit to that. And I think that's going to help us to have a, more productive 2024 season. And we also need some, like we said, those big guys in the middle. So we need big guys. We need some big dudes.
We need new offensive line. That'll be fun. Be sure to send me that podcast when let them know. We kind of got the 8-play Sean Lewis Remember the Titans playbook. Here as the season went on, but but I do think he's a good coach. I do think he'll do a good job at San Diego State, and I'm sure he'll learn from this. And
he'll recruit well in SoCal. So
but I gotta say this: Tremaine Young saying folks are kind of upset Tank's leaving. Really? I'm not upset. He was kind of one of those guys. Like, again, I think I would like them to stick around as backups, but I'm not going to complain with any of this line jumping in the portal. If I'm,
Well, I think he's only got one more year eligibility, I think. So he probably wants to go someplace where he can play one more year. Because if he does come here, stays around, he may get put on the back burner and may not be able to start anymore. I think he's a grad transfer. I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's been here since like 2020, so he should have or be close to graduating. But he does
so
have his free transfer. But yeah, I definitely thought Tank would have had a better year than what he had, and it was tough to see, man. This was tough to see. But let's move forward. You know, you were texting me a little bit before we hopped on. Of course, we got Jac'Quan McCoy and some Jordan Seaton news. Why don't you fill us in on that a little bit?
Well, I mean, Jordan Seaton, you know, we were texting saying, hey, maybe it's Colorado. And then instantly he was like, no, it's Ohio State. Fooled you guys. So everyone was like, okay, well, that's cool. Kind of wish it was here. And then I don't know if you saw this. I was watching the last hour, just content on Rivals, and he put out a video on Rivals with being interviewed on Rivals, talking about the 5 schools that are courting him, and Alabama, Colorado, Florida, Ohio State, Tennessee. And he kind of in the last minute of that interview with Rivals said, you know, if you're going to be a 4-8 program and you're asking me about you want to play in the national championship game, he said, don't give me that line if I know that you're not going to be able to like kind of get there. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. He kind of wants to go somewhere where let's set realistic goals. If I come to your program, let's go ahead and, you know, win the league. And then let's go ahead and who can develop me to be in the National Football League. I believe Coach Prime, you know, I'm sure he's been telling all the recruits this, you know, you come here, I'm going to get you in the NFL, you know, NIL and all that stuff is going to be there, you know, but if you are trying to get these kids to the next level, and Jordan Seaton can get there because he has that skill level, you know, I'm hoping Coach Prime is telling kids like, hey, I'll get you to the NFL. That's kind of what he can sell, because a 4-8 program can't be selling kids, hey, I'm gonna get you. We want to be in the national championship in 2 years, because it's not realistic. If we get there by just, you know, the team gelling and, you know, our schedule and, you know, things fall in place, awesome. But being a 4-8 team, it's going to be kind of hard to tell recruits, hey, we want to be in national championship in a couple of weeks. So I'm hoping Coach Prime and his staff are telling people that, you know, we want to get you with, you know, former Gold Jackets coming here with Warren Sapp. And if we were to get another Deion Sanders too, you know, we want to get you the NFL. We want to get you that big payday. You know, NIL is great, but we want to get you there where you can actually make a big impact in your life.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's been a little bit easier right now to sell the guys in the front 7. You know, we have a ton of guys right now, where the majority, it's not a big class right now, but the high school commits, we got a lot of front 7 guys that make up those commits that we have right now. I think we have a good coaching staff. You know, Warren Sapp's coming on, Sal Sinceri's still here, Nick Williams, Charles Kelly. There's a lot to sell them on developing, getting them to the NFL. You know, with Jordan Seaton, I mean, man, Ohio State back in the mix, that's a big deal. I think we're going to be going up against the top programs with his services, and we got a lot of ground to make up, I think, in terms of like, we didn't do ourselves any favors right now with our offensive line performance. And, you know, these guys got to know it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of hire we make at the offensive line, coaching position. I mean, I guess Bill Boyle is still technically on staff.
Sure.
I'm not expecting him to be here.
Sure.
Like, surely with Sean Lewis, I mean, he's got to be gone, right?
Like, I'm refreshing his Twitter page all the time. Like, where are you going, Bill Boyle? Where are you going? You're not, you know, I'm sure he's a good guy too, but at the same time, it just didn't work out. And, you know, we need a better offensive line, better scheme, new voice in that room to help the guys coming in and the guys that are sticking around to have a better scheme, because something fell off the tracks. And, you know, we just got to go ahead and figure out what it is. And, you know, I appreciate San Diego State, you know, reaching out to Sean Lewis. I'm sure he'll do great there. But, you know, we needed another philosophy offensively to get this train moving again. So,
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But maybe with Jac'Quan McCoy coming in, maybe that's a little bit of a hedge.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about him. Do you know like his size or whatnot? But you told me earlier
His
that he's been
size?
committed. Yeah. Do you know like
He
how big
is
he is?
he is 6'8", 365.
What?
Jordan Seaton is 6'5", 287.
Yeah.
Again, this dude is 6'8", 365. I watched his highlight reel. He is just literally just pancaking people. And that's what he's doing. He's playing against high school kids right now. And the guy is just massive. And his plays are just push, 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 smash, push, 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 smash. So he's an Oregon commit. Back on July 1st, 2023. Colorado was in there with Arkansas, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. He's out of Alabama, right in Alabama, Crimson Tide around their neighborhood, but he went with the Ducks. And this guy, watching his interviews, he's a great guy, great kid. Like a sponge. It looks like he has a high ceiling. Again, he has the height, he has the weight. It's all a matter of just finding someone who can coach him and put all that to use. Because Jordan Seaton has great hands and he has great feet. This kid is a little bit more raw. I suspect he's probably going to need a little more coaching. But if you just told him, hey, go out there and pancake a D-line or linebacker, that works for me. That's just as effective. So,
man, 365 pounds. Is that what you said?
Yeah, he's huge. He's huge.
That already rating him as a 5-star with the David Talks About recruiting service.
That's the highly reputable one. You got it, yeah.
But you think he can move pretty well? I mean, in terms of coaching, is he a guy that you think could start on the line or will need some time?
I think his size will be to his benefit to start soon. I think he did say when he committed to Oregon that he wanted to go someplace where he can start soon. So I think that's in his wheelhouse to do that. If we don't have, anyone of that size on a roster and he just comes in and takes charge, I don't know if he's going to be an early, spring guy, if he's going to be a summer guy, no matter if he goes to Oregon and Colorado. But I'm sure he's going to come in with that mindset to learn. And I think just his size will get him on the field faster, but then you'll need someone to coach him. And my thing too, if we stick with Pat Shurmur and those rumblings about, Mike Munchak, the former other Gold Jacket that lives in Denver, to go to Boulder and to, maybe coach those guys up. So then you would have, if that were to happen, you would have Munchak, Gold Jacket, Deion Sanders, Gold Jacket, Warren Sapp, Gold Jacket. I mean, that's insane. Man. That's insane.
I forgot that Munchak has a Gold Jacket.
Very much so. Yeah. So, I mean, it's if you can go to any home across the country and recruit these kids, Junco, even anywhere, transporter guys say, hey, you come here. I got Gold Jacket guys that are here going to teach you and train you and get you ready for now, but also ready for the NFL. That's what we have to be selling kids. That's what we'll be selling these guys coming into the program. And whatever we can do to do that, that's great. I can't wait for Warren Sapp to get into this building and just to, infiltrate the whole D-line and just put his moxie in there. Because these are we're going to see Colorado the next couple of years with Coach Prime. If he does stick around for the next couple of years, he's going to start slowly transforming this program in little areas. And I know that he said last year he wanted to get this. We got the skill set guys. Skill set guys are going to come here. Two-way players are going to come here because they want to play for Coach Prime and play with him and play with Shedeur and whoever they get in the 2024, 2025 quarterback class. But then you're also going to need to fill the trenches, and you're going to need, Hall of Fame guys or pretty reputable guys to train these, linemen, O-line and D-line. So I think if they're there, go get them. It's worth it. I think they've built enough attention to where they can go get guys and then go tell recruits, hey, come here. I got Hall of Fame guys ready to train you guys.
No doubt. And I think one underrated factor in all this, it's kind of funny because our recruiting class right now ain't ranked anything special.
Yeah.
If you look at the average rating of our recruit, though, I think we're like right up there at the top of the Big 12 next year. But we've had a full year to raise this NIL collective up. and I think what we got in the portal last year, I mean, I think there are a handful of guys that definitely were getting paid. But I think that we definitely, this is just my assumption, that we're going to have a lot more money to throw around this year. And I think the caliber of player that we'll get in the portal will be better than what we got last year, kind of outside of a few different guys, especially in the trenches. Because I know there were some other big time offensive linemen that, or defensive linemen that ended up going elsewhere, ended up going other places. I'm sure that had to do with, them being able to get compensated more. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this whole thing plays out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think you're right. Like I feel like we got a lot of dogs at the skill positions right now.
Yeah. No,
And
definitely.
I think we got to develop a little bit more of that same intensity, that dog kind of mentality within the guys up front in the trenches. I think Warren Sapp's going to help with that. It's interesting. I'm not a fan of Pat Shurmur.
Oh, really?
Outside of him coming in and doing Coach Prime a solid, making sure Shador, for the most part, I guess, was getting hit less. But I posed this question to Rawhide, the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if they were a package deal, Shurmur and Munchak, like, would you be okay with that? And I think, like, Shurmur, I mean, I would be a little concerned, but if he meant that we could get somebody like Mike Munchak and Matt McChesney brought this up the other day as well. He fixed Garrett Bowles, man. This guy fixed Garrett Bowles, and he's a Pro Bowl left tackle now. And if he can do that and fix this offensive line, I would almost say, you know what, screw it, man. Like, who cares? I'm not really sure how good Pat Shurmur would be, like, recruiting or anything like that. But if they were a package deal, I think I would go for it from the talent development standpoint.
Yeah, it's I agree with that too. I mean, it's all about I think we know the skill set's going to be there, and I think we're going to have play calling. I think it's all going to be work out just fine, as long as you have a not top tier, let's say a top 25 quarterback in FCS. I think you're able to go ahead and run a very good offense that's balanced. I think what you saw was Colorado was not able to be balanced, and that allowed them to tee off on Shador. And that's why you saw a lot of like 3 and outs and him getting destroyed, because when you tell, like, kind of, I watched that interview with Matt. When you tell, if a D line knows that they're not going to pass, I'm sorry, if the D line knows they're not going to run, they're going to come at you full tilt, and then you have nothing else to do. So I think we need to just go ahead and whatever coach comes here, whatever coach, O-line coach, OC, whatever combination comes here, we just need to go with the mindset of, we need to, like you said, develop guys. We need to maybe go ahead and, I don't know how Coach Prime, I haven't heard any whispers about how he is doing so far in the state of Colorado, recruiting wise. I know that we do have some O-line, D-line guys that are here in the state, but are going elsewhere to bigger programs going on right now. So if we can find a way to keep those kids here in state, get them here, develop them. I think I heard Matt say as well, you need to go ahead and find someone who can, give these kids time to develop. You have to build a program. But there's also got to be a balance of, we also have to get players now to infuse that talent pool while we develop, using that as well. Because right now it's that prime, what is it, that 40-40-20 he implements here when it comes to 40 transfer, 40 grad, and then 20% high school kids. So until that ratio changes, that's what it's going to be, unless another O-line or offensive mind coach or D-line coach can change his mind on that and kind of from there. But it's going to take time. It's a slow burn right now. And it's going to take time for this program to build, and it's all about just pieces. Okay, that piece is good, move on to that piece. That looks good, let's move over here and just start shifting things around. Once you do that, things are now kind of level. Then you start gaining more traction, and you start having less weaknesses for people to attack you at. So,
no doubt. And I think a lot of people forget, Steve, or I guess they forget, like, the majority of the high school commits that we got last year, like, that was announced on signing day.
Yeah.
or just right before. And so we're still a few weeks out from that. And my guess is regarding high school commits, maybe we might get an announcement or two, earlier before the 19th or 20th hits. But I think the majority of guys, or if there's going to be flips, it's going to happen right around signing day. And then we'll get some at the official signing day. Early signing day is December 20th, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, Matt brought up a great point. We got some guys here in Colorado that I think are, these guys got potential. I don't think they're true freshman starters. Maybe I'm wrong, but like Gage Ginther, our top player right now in Colorado. We have another lineman out of Broomfield that's committed to Nebraska that he brought up as well. So there's definitely a few guys on the trenches that we could definitely target out here. And I think that would add to a nice core. I've left this up here from Florida Natural. We got David Connor, who would have loved to see him transfer from Florida. Hank Zelenskis. I thought that he did make some improvement from when he came in against CSU versus how he played against Utah. Tyler Brown, of course. Van Wells is, going into his third year. That is a decent building block. We just need a coach and a scheme to really take advantage of these players' strengths.
Yeah, exactly. And if it wasn't, if Bill O'Boyle, if he were to move on, or if he stays here, we just need to find a way to, I'm pretty sure Coach Prime, every step of the way as the season ended, he knew, and he hinted like, what our, what we're not great at, what we need help in. We all know it's pretty obvious. So we're going to hit that hard. We're going to go after that hard. I'm going to focus on that because that's something we need to get, cleared up and fixed, because plus my son's getting killed, and, when he's playing quarterback here. But also the fact is that, we need to be more balanced, and that it's all going to work itself out. It's all going to be that. Not too concerned about that. For me, it's about just, let's get the right guys in here. The guys that want to work, the guys that want to do that, in-state guys across, different states. And, let's just build this up on the trenches. Because when you start to, the reason why when we were playing Oregon and, USC and UCLA and Utah, especially Utah, Oregon State, these guys this program, their program that they were in has been built for years. Yes. And they've been there, developed, and they were underneath someone who was probably better than them, but then they were able to get trained and get developed underneath that O-line and offensive coordinator. So we're there. We just got to continue to do that. I mean, it's going to be it's getting better. If you told me because I think we're almost coming to the year anniversary when Coach Prime was introduced here in Colorado. Yeah. So it's if you told me now if its expectations are met, yes, they're better. Yes, the ceiling is higher. Our coach is Sportsman of the Year. Attention is here. Our ratings are off the charts. Don't think that next year, even if we play Texas Tech or TCU or UCF, those games are not going to be on, big noon kickoff. Those are going to be on big noon kickoff because they want to see Coach Prime in season 2 and what's going to be there. So,
yeah, and we were so close. Again, 4 wins, not ideal. A lot of these games were in reach. And I think sometimes how I can feel so negative or pissed off is because it's man, there were some things that were done this year that if we could just correct them, man, we have a few more wins for ourselves on the table. We get to that bowl game, whatever. But I'm pretty confident that, Coach Prime, he's going to become a better coach. And not everybody, again, when you got one cycle to hire an entire coaching staff and bring in an entire new college football roster, there are just going to be guys that are brought in that it wasn't the right fit. So we're going to replace some coaches. I am confident that he's going to make some good hires for this, and it's going to be interesting to see. And another guy on here that Tremaine's talking about, Jeremiah McCrinnon, he's another one of these big JUCO guys. I think he's 6'3", 6'4", 310, 315 pounds. We need a guy that can take these guys with size and, again, coach them up. Like you said, Utah, for instance, or BYU. These are programs that they'll even take advantage of like kind of, what is it with the Mormon mission? Is that where you get the gray shirt, like that extra developmental year? And then, they're able to still kind of get these guys training for another year. And then sometimes they got like 24-year-old, like grown men blocking for them. And we need years and years of development in this pipeline. That is absolutely clear.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see who they pick, because with the transfer portal opening up on Monday, kids are going to know, who their coach is going to be, where am I going, and no OC either. So, we need to, I think Coach Prom, I'm sure he's aware of it. They need to figure out, I'm sure they're interviewing guys, talking to guys right now, figuring out who's going to be the OC here. That's very important, because for some of those kids, knowing who's going to run that offense is going to dictate where they transfer to. So that needs to get buttoned up as fast as he can. But I'm sure they're on it. And it's all going to get worked out, and they're going to get great guys. They're going to get some great kids, some JUCO guys. They'll win some recruiting battles. But then it's going to get down to the meat and potatoes, developing, teaching them schemes, and figuring out what this new offense is going to look like. Because I'm pretty for sure we're not going to see that high octane offense we saw in TCU. It's going to be more of a methodical, march down the field, probably a lot more running. Just be more balanced, because when you get to those big boys, universities and programs, they will run it down your throat, and they have no problem doing that, because their guys are so big, and they see you just has to get on that level so we can compete with those other programs and win those tight games. Because I think Shedeur probably willed his way to probably 2 or 3 wins on his own back. No pun intended. But you can only rely so much on your quarterback to do so much, and he has enough skill to get a couple wins. But you're right. We were so close. Many games you're like, oh man, we lost to Stanford, we lost to Arizona, we lost this Oregon State game, and they're so good, they're ranked, and so even USC, even though they weren't as good as we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. So the wins could have been there. They just didn't happen. And, it's time to go back to the drawing board and figure out, what the missing pieces are, what didn't connect, and get back in there and, get going. So.
No doubt. Well, with the time that we have left, this might be the last video, depending on what happens with the college football playoff, where, rest in peace, Pac-12. This might be the last time I talk about the entire conference, man.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
Can't say I enjoyed it, but thoughts on the Pac-12, thoughts on the Pac-12 championship? Who you got winning tonight?
I'll take the Huskies every day of the week. Yeah, just excited, so excited to leave the Pac-12. That was it was good. It was good in concept, just because at the time when Colorado left the Big 12, Texas was flexing their muscle with their Texas network and everything, and didn't want to share anything. So we're like, well, we're just going to go. And A&M was like, well, we're going to go. And Nebraska said, we're going. And they didn't. It was we left for greener pastures. But in the end, I kind of do miss playing our, Texas Tech, our Kansas States, our Kansas, our Iowa States. I kind of wish Nebraska was still there. And Texas is leaving, Oklahoma is leaving. But, I'm so excited to leave. I'm so more excited to talk about Big 12 football than Pac-12 football. I feel bad for Oregon State. I feel bad for Washington State. But at the same time, it's musical chairs, and Colorado did not want to be left without a chair. And we're moving forward, and we're going to keep building this thing up. Huskies, to pivot back to that topic, Huskies, it's going to be tight. Huskies got it. I just don't like Oregon. I just don't like Dan Lanning. So that's my only against that topic. So who do you got? Oregon or Washington?
Oh man, I've been going back and forth on this, because for most of the year I've thought that Washington needs to be ranked higher. But over the last few days, like in terms of just predicting this matchup, like I kind of agree with D Regula right here. It's hard to beat a team twice. Man, I like how Oregon's playing football right now, so I'm going to go with them on a neutral site. I feel like during their first matchup up in Seattle, there was just some weird again, Dan Lanning's an ultra aggressive coach, but if he had just taken the points, on some of those drives in the first half, they win that game. And I think they're going to come out hungry. Does Dan Lanning have the most punchable face in college football?
Oh, by
I think
far.
so.
Oh, by far, yeah.
But I really like the way the Ducks play football, to be honest. So
really, okay.
Yeah, like they play aggressive. Sorry, getting a call here, but I like how they play. I like how they're coached. I like their style. I like their tenacity. But Dan Lanning, man, I just I don't like him. So no matter what happens, I'm going to be happy. If Washington wins, that's great. We're going to have a Pac-12 representative in the college football playoff. If Oregon wins, it is what it is. That's cool too. But I think a lot of things need to happen for Oregon to make the college football playoff. I think you need Georgia to beat Alabama. I think you need Louisville to beat FSU.
Okay.
And I think they need that to happen because I think Texas gets in over them.
Oh,
if they're both
Texas,
one-win teams. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Texas is just a bigger brand. So I think that they're going to get in there.
So who wins it? Who wins it all then? If you had to put a name on when it's all said and done in January.
Oh, I mean, I'd probably just go with Georgia, to be honest.
The number one.
Like, I'm just going chalk, dude, until they don't do it. Like, I still think that they're the strongest team in football, even without Brock Bowers. I mean, they have so many guys on that team that have that championship experience. New quarterback this year, sure, but I think Beck has improved over the year. But if Alabama wins, I think Georgia gets in. And I think Alabama gets in. I think we'll have two SEC teams in there. And Who knows what happens, if Alabama continues to gain steam, man.
So you got Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and FSU? That's your final four?
Yes. And if FSU loses, which I'm rooting for, because now I guess they're playing with their third-string quarterback. I don't want to see that in the college football playoff. Then I think, and Michigan gets in. So that's the thing. Like, I don't think Texas gets in if FSU wins. So it would be like Georgia, Michigan. Those guys are guaranteed. That's how I see it. If Alabama wins, they're in. If FSU wins, they're in. But if FSU loses, Texas gets in. Over Oregon. But then Washington, you got to think about Washington too. I'm sorry, I should have charted this whole thing out.
Yeah, I'm like, because we're scattered right now. We're all over the place right now in teams right now. So
but yeah, I guess Texas would need Washington to lose because Washington should get in being undefeated. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer. Yeah, they're 3 now. I think they were 4 2 weeks ago. Now they're 3 now. I mean, for me, looking at it just from, the teams that are in there right now, Georgia, I think, of course, is going to get in. Michigan is in. I think Washington, because I said they beat Oregon, so they would be in. And then the 4th team would be – it's hard – you're right. It's hard to put a third-string – unless a third-string quarterback is like the second coming of John Elway. Yeah, whoever it is, if he turns up being the best quarterback on the whole roster and just lights it up in that championship game, ACC So Florida State has a lot to prove to go ahead and stay in it. So that's correct. But I think you may get a Texas. Texas has a chance to get in there based on what happens in Washington, Oregon, and FSU. So it's good looking ahead there. But if I had to put a name on there, a team on there that I think is going to take it all, I would put all my cards, all my ante up to go ahead and take Michigan over anybody else in that whole shuffle. So.
Hey, they know the signs. They know the signs.
They know the signs.
which I don't have an issue with. I don't really care. Why don't we just put the headset in the helmets, man, for the quarterbacks?
For all
the linebacker or whatever,
For all Division I football programs?
Yeah, we got enough technology to do that. I mean,
who's going to
challenge plays now,
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense for like Ohio State, Michigan, Texas to have that because they can afford it. But then you go like to, a small like Texas State. Texas State can't keep up with that type of, and NCAA can't pay for all that for all the 132 football programs. And
Dude, they absolutely should. I'm calling it. They got enough money.
No, they have money. They just don't want to spend it. That's the issue.
Yeah. But it would get rid of that sign stealing. Okay, so guys, I'm sorry I just had to process all that out. Here's what I think needs to happen, I guess. Well, okay. If Washington wins, they're in. Michigan wins, they're in. Georgia's in. Okay. So those are like the three that I feel like are in. Florida State, I don't know, man. So, Florida State needs to win, obviously. They're not going to get in with one loss. Texas needs Alabama to lose. I mean, you need Georgia to win, or they need, like, Washington to lose. I guess that's kind of it. And Oregon needs FSU to lose and Georgia or in Alabama to lose, I feel like. I'm sorry, guys. You guys probably can't even keep up with me right now.
It's it'll be interesting how the next couple of weeks play out and whatnot. I just think Michigan's going to take it all. They're on a mission right now to beat everybody up right now. And JJ McCarthy, who I think if he plays better, I think it's down to Penix and McCarthy for the Heisman, and I would take McCarthy over a Penix for the Heisman.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to see a Pac-12 quarterback win it. We haven't seen one win it
Penix.
since. Well, I guess Caleb Williams, but he doesn't really count.
How? Well, he's USC. He's a Pac-12.
I guess so. I guess Michael Penix was a transfer too.
You want them to be
Matt Leinart, I guess, was like the last recruited by a Pac-12 school type of thing.
And I for one am so excited to not play USC every year. It's just a train wreck, and it'll be happy to play Big 12 football again, like I said before, and get away from the Pac-12 schools and teams that actually enjoy playing football and enjoy the fan bases are going to be a little bit different, but I think it's going to be fun to get back in those old stadiums and create some new rivals, because we need a rival in our conference, and Pac-12 giving us Utah as our rival just never worked out. So
no, it was so stupid. Yeah, a lot of people that are just now following this team or whatever, they or like my friend Zane, who has followed CU for the last few years or whatever. He's like, is Utah this real rivalry? I'm like, no, man. It's they just kind of beat our butt every year. It is what it is. But yeah, this college football playoff, man, I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be one of the better ones that we've had, as long as FSU isn't in there.
Just an FSU. Don't want them to get there. I mean, if like I said, if their third string quarterback is the second coming of Dan Marino, then this is all for whatever. They have their future quarterback in the next 3 years. So, just we'll see what happens. If they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. But it'll be interesting to see what that last spot kind of happens. And pretty much very soon here, as we get closer to 2024, they'll be in the Big 12 and playing new opponents and whatnot. And then we don't have to worry about all this Dan Lanning and all this other stuff ever again, unless we see Oregon in a bowl game or something, or a
hopefully we can get into that 12-team playoff next year. That's going to be my hope. That's going to be what I'm rooting for. So, Steve, I really appreciate you joining me. This was way overdue, well overdue. Glad we can make it happen. For anybody that hasn't subscribed to Steve's channel, The Go Route, it's in the description of my video. Please go do that. Can you let the people know where to find you and what kind of things can they be expecting to see from you on your channel?
Yeah, no, thanks, Dave. When it comes to my channel, The Go Route, I'm going to be talking more about recruiting, transfer portal. We'll be diving into that pretty hot and heavy here in the next couple of weeks and months here. I'm going to try to go ahead and, get on different podcasts. I'll be in the San Diego State podcast sometime next week, talking to some of those guys out there. Just like Dave, we're all trying to stay ahead of this content coming in when it comes to recruiting and transfer portal. We're all, CU Buff fans. We're all trying to, just get as much content as we can to you guys, and also give you our hot takes on it as well. So we appreciate it. Go check out my channel, the Go Route on YouTube. And with all that, I appreciate it, guys. So
love it, man. I love it. Well, thanks again, Steve, for joining the chat. You guys were fantastic today. Y'all be sure to hit that like on the way out. Y'all are making me crack up too much. So until next time, guys, I'm sure I'll be back at some point. But until next time, Go Buffs.